The United States is subject to its creditors. The creditors are the insurance underwriters of the debt of the federal United States executing an admiralty claim in the court systems. Your accuser is the International Monetary Fund for a simple traffic citation. And who is the proctor? The proctor in an admiralty proceeding is a U.S. attorney. In fact, all the attorneys are proctors, acting on behalf of the creditors. In a bankruptcy, the Secretary of the Treasurer is a receiver in a bankruptcy who is also the governor of the International Monetary Fund. The U.S. Attorney General, Janet Reno, is not a U.S. citizen, and neither is the Secretary of the Treasurer. They both expatriated in 1948 when they joined Interpol, the International Police Organization, by treaty. And they transferred their allegiance to the International Police Organization. So the International Police Organization, Interpol, is the police arm of the creditor, the International Monetary Fund, and they are your accusers. They're trying to collect on a debt that the federal government owes and you owe because you're a U.S. citizen. So that's about as much as I can really talk about that without getting much more in depth, but it was a profound insight when we finally realized that we need to develop admiralty strategies for reclaiming within the court systems under maritime procedures by filing cross-claims. They claim that they own my vessel. Well, I'm another owner. I claim that I'm the owner of my vessel because I'm a sovereign citizen, and I'll file a cross-claim in admiralty. In which case, when I do, it shifts back from equity back into admiralty again. Now they have to produce the international contract with my signature on it, which they cannot do, and they may balk, and they may cry, and they may scream, and I will answer their screams and their cries, but I will show no mercy, because when I'm done with them, I will file a cross libel, which will then shift it from an admiralty to a common law, and a cross libel will then be directed individually at everyone involved in the fraud, from the judges and the attorneys and all of them. And then the first Judiciary Act and what's called savings to suitors. The savings to suitors clause of the first Judiciary Act of 1789 then comes into effect. And these are being developed now as a higher level strategy to get accountability in the courts. And that's what we're working on now. So next time I come back, I'll report on how we did on the cases that we're proceeding. And I think our time is probably about up, and I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, we can take questions.
We're going to have a quick question and answer. We'll take about 8 minutes. We have a microphone set up right here in the back. Ron, if you can take this microphone, we're going to have a double line. Anybody that has any questions?
Will you go back and handle my book table? All the books are 30, the new service is 5.
A question for Johnny. Not editorials. I don't want to hear your life history and what you've done. Questions for Johnny only. If you get into an editorial, we'll cut the sound. So if you'll step right up here, and Johnny, you're right. Take it.
Okay, I guess we're going to go find the microphone here. After the question period, I'm going to be behind here for some time, and I'll have books back there and other things, and we can talk later. So let's go with the first question.
If you could address the difference between being a resident and a citizen. Sometimes when I'm explaining things to people, they never seem to understand that. It's kind of something you didn't touch on. The legal definition of a resident versus a citizen.
Okay, it might help clarify that a resident is a corporate citizen with a little c. What you are as a sovereign citizen with a big C is you are domiciled in a state, or you are an inhabitant, a free inhabitant of that state. That's how you refer to yourself and make the distinction clear. A resident is a corporate citizen, by definition.
How do you know if, like I bought my own property and built my house on it, how do I know if it's, what do you call it, allodial in my name, or is owned by the state?
You can assume that it is owned and controlled by the state if you have a deed and haven't updated the land patent.
Grant deed.
You have a grant deed? Yeah, it's the same thing. It's still a deed. It's one of the many different types of deeds. What you need to do is update the land patent from the BLM, which used to be the Land Patent Office. You get an original copy, and then you rewrite the legal description, and then you file it back with the county recorder. And that's how you update the land patent. You give them notice to anybody with an equity interest in the property. They have 60 days to challenge you in court. If they don't, it is automatically updated. You give them notice by either publishing it in a legal publication for a period of time, or you actually send them a notice in the mail.
During the Civil War, it's very confusing. What the prince, one of the Prince of England, who was the son of the King of England, was with the Southern Army, the Confederate Army, the Rebel Army, and it seems like the monarchy of England was for the South, but then they were supposed to be controlled by the banks of Europe.
I think there's some exceptions to that. From my studies, the Bank of England was the primary sovereign behind the North and the Bank of France behind the South. Now,